Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sideline Sports. We have my lovely co-host John Shear and Dave DeRocher. Of course, JB is not here, as we've talked about. I believe he mentioned it last week. He's at the Islanders game, so I hope he's having fun. But go Rangers! Screw the
I
Isles.
mean, he
Sorry,
could have
that's
went and watched Rangers Hurricanes instead of the
yep.
Islanders. Who watches the
Look,
Islanders?
he's an Isles fan. He's weird. I don't know what to think.
I don't get it.
Before we start, as always, Dave, I gotta know, what are the tacos? We know you have them. John stupidly asked before, do you have them? What are they?
Today's shredded beef.
Oh, that's a good answer.
Oh yeah.
That's so. All right, so you gotta tell me it's shredded beef with what? What else is in there? I gotta know.
Jake, it's a taco. There's cheese and there's lettuce. That's what it is.
I like guac in my tacos. You know?
Carne asada has guac.
Guaco.
Okay, that's why I'm asking.
Carne asada has guac. Yeah. You can't. You don't do guac with shredded beef.
Oh, I did not know that.
So I guess it was a valid question. I guess it just sounds silly, in Southern California where everybody knows what goes with a taco.
Hey, I had tacos earlier, so I mean, in honor of you, it was taco night. We didn't mention you at all, but I thought to my head once I ate tacos, I was like,
Man,
this
John,
is in honor of Dave. Well, I mean,
I was so mean.
Well, I just
we had
meant,
tacos. We didn't think about you though.
But I thought about when I was eating them, I was like, this is in honor of Dave, even though,
Hold on. It's in honor of Dave. Dave's not dead. Dave's right here. Dude, what the
Jake, he did. He thought about me. That's why he did it.
Of course he did.
He had an amazing event yesterday that
I was going to say
discuss.
I would love to talk about this event because, first of all, JB, the other reason is not here is because Dave, as you'll explain to us, he sucks at golf, and I think he's afraid to show his face and be here with you right now. I think he needed a little time away from you because of what you just told us before. So, tell us how the event was, and then sprinkle in a little JB making fun of in there when you can.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry, I can't join in on that because for as bad as it is golf, he's a great person. I mean, he flew all the way out here to be out here to support and be a part of it, and he was grinning ear to ear the entire time. The event went fantastic. For those of you that are watching, that watch the news, we're having atmospheric rivers or I don't know, whatever stuff they make up to make it sound like it's really some horrific thing. And really, what we're getting here in California is rain.
Just mild rain.
We're getting rain, which we don't normally get. But I don't know about atmospheric river. So we're not drowned.
It sounds cool.
It makes it sound more exciting.
Yeah. It makes you want to watch the news. Atmospheric river. What's that? That's what they do. They make stuff up like tilapia and there's so much stuff that's been made up over the past. You're old like me. You know that none of that stuff. Kale wasn't around. Gluten wasn't around. Tilapia wasn't around. None of this stuff. Atmospheric rivers weren't around, and they just keep making stuff up to make it feel like you don't know what you're doing. But getting back to golf, we had a great time, and Anthony Munoz was there. Jesse Sapolo. Malcolm Smith, the MVP of the Super Bowl, the Seahawks, and his teammate with Walter Thurman. They just kind of tooled around together, because neither of them are very good, but they just played, they just played golf with folks. And we had the cast of the Mayans. We had about 23, 24. Isaac Curtis, another Circle of Honor Bengal, and former Aztec was there. And we just had a great time. And we raised a lot of money for the local veteran support programs here. And our weather was actually drizzled a little and then cleared away and let us have fun in golf. So it was a blast.
Shout out to Troy Geary and Will Stein, part of our network. They were there supporting it as well as JB. So, all the people that came out to support it, it's just amazing in my opinion. It's amazing. The golf is fantastic, but what you guys, Dave, that is what you do for people, the less fortunate, the people that need the help. That's what it's all about. And shout out to you and everybody else that helped.
Well, I had to tell you too. We had some other pretty cool cats show. I mean, we had an event the night before, just kind of for the sponsors and some veterans that we just invited some local veterans to come hang out with us at the Great American Craft Spirit Place. It's all American companies, all American distilled, top shelf liquors. They hosted us. and we had Christian Okoye, Jared Bunch, Nate Boyer. They showed up with John Barry, Steve Wisniewski. I don't know if you guys know that name.
Yeah,
the only guy to be suspended twice for 8 games. You know, when I heard that, I don't know much about hockey, but this cat gets suspended twice for 8 games for punching somebody in the face. I mean, man, easy on. Okay, you're hanging out with us.
You realize, he's a pretty cool dude.
He's a very cool dude. And Jim, let's see, Jim Lawrence, World Series champion with the Yankees.
Friend of the show. We had him. He's great.
He was on the show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, we had him. Let's say a month ago, John. Maybe a month and a half ago.
He's coming back to New York tomorrow. I think start the season.
Oh, we loved Larry. He's a great dude. He's awesome.
He's a really nice guy.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so that's the kind of people we had hanging out. Byron Scott, was hanging out with us, and if I repeat the names, I'm trying to go through the list, and I'm not going to.
Sounds like a fun time, man. I'm jealous.
It certainly was.
And will you be doing it again next year?
Oh, undoubtedly. And we had about 200 golfers signed up, and even with a little bit of drizzle, we had about a 90%. People show up, and the room was packed. Usually everyone kind of takes off, but the room afterwards at Kodo was packed. We ran out of food. Everyone was just sticking around, having a great time. And, run it back was the theme. Run it back was the theme. Everybody's on board, and it's going to be a packed house, and we look forward to actually doing it again for sure. So next year we'll actually do the Sideline Sports from Kodo or something. We'll do something.
Yeah.
We'll get the whole team out here.
That's great. You don't have to tell me twice. Speaking of Sideline Sports, I think we should actually talk some sports.
Sure.
Sports news.
If you insist.
If I insist. Well, look, John, I could sit here all day talking about tacos and talking about people we like, but unfortunately, that's not why we do the show. But it's part of why we do it, but not the whole reason. So, we'll start with this. It's, we were just talking about all of the things we wanted to talk about, and the big theme that we came up with is let's talk about NFL free agency. Let's talk about all the stuff that's gone on. And what was it last week, 2 weeks ago? We were talking about the number 1 overall trade pick. Was that last week or 2 weeks ago, John or Dave? Do you remember? I think that was 2 weeks ago.
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
So we were talking about, they traded DJ Moore. Who's going to be their, who are their playmakers? And then I guess Carolina heard us because although it's not perfect, they've made some moves. The team has it's got players on it again. Adam Thielen is there. They brought in the tight end from the Bengals. I'm blanking on his name. Somebody help me. What is his name?
And Hayden Hurst, right?
Yes, thank you. Hayden Hurst. Yes. Hayden Hurst is now on the team, and they brought in somebody else.
They brought in Miles Sanders at
running back. That's who it was. Thank you. Yep. So,
I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not sure how I feel about that one.
Well, all right, let's get into that, John. What is your qualms? What are your worries? Let's hear it.
Well, I mean, first of all, you mentioned Adam Thielen. I believe he's 32. I believe the writing was on the wall in Minnesota the writing's been on the wall for a couple years. I think since Justin Jefferson got there, you got Red Diggs and Justin Jefferson came in.
2.
I feel like Adam Thielen took a back seat and he never got it.
He did.
Like Stephon Diggs was really good, but I feel like Adam Thielen was the heart and soul. And then once Justin Jefferson came, it became Justin Jefferson's offense.
Well,
and I feel like Adam Thielen never got back to being the guy in Minnesota, and he just kind of took a back seat. And even
I don't know that he ever was,
season,
though, John.
No, he was always the go-to guy, like the guy that made the key catches.
About 3 years ago, 3 seasons, 4 seasons ago, it was.
Well, I'm saying,
you want to know why I know that, Jake? Because he was on my fantasy team, and he scored a heck of a lot of points for me. So that cat was catching a lot of touchdowns, and he was the dude. But I don't care who you put up against Jefferson. You're going to be second.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
Or third, with Diggs. So I agree with John. That was kind of right on the wall. And when you said that the Panthers are making moves, I heard the names. I'm like, well, okay, better than what they had, but
but
it's still the Panthers.
Oh, absolutely.
I did a keynote today. I don't know why I decided to take that on. After 16 hours yesterday, but I did. And the topic, as I was talking to a company, was about teamwork. And, the team is so much more important than the players. The management is such a big deal. And I mean, I don't know how many seasons you guys have, taken a look at the season, and you look at the lineup for the Browns, and you look on that paper, you go, holy smokes, here they go.
Every year, John, how many times have we sat here and said, man, they look so good on paper? And we always say, that's just on paper, though, because once they get on the field, we have no idea.
Remember that Chip Kelly team that was like supposed to be a super team? Like a couple years ago, they were on paper, they were amazing, and they ended up flopping.
They were on paper great this year.
It happens in the NFL every year.
Yeah. So I talked to buddies that have played on the Browns, and it all boils down to management and the way they're treated, and they know they're not treated as well as other teams. And and it's just the way that the organization is run. And I kind of look at the Panthers as maybe being something like that. You look at them, and they just are always kind of Osol runs. They had one run with Rivera and Newton, but Newton,
that was it.
And that was it. And they haven't been close to being competitive. So
it felt like one and done. Just kind of
it was a good mixture, but Cam was just
he was having a great season. He was having an all-time season.
Let me pivot away from that topic real quick, and we'll circle back right after this.
I want to comment. So
I'm going to take a detour because you mentioned the Panthers with Ron Rivera and Cam Newton. So I want to ask Dave this because Dave played football. He knows what it's like in the locker room. He knows what it's like to see veterans trying to play past their prime. So Cam Newton made I'll paraphrase, made a comment about basically there's nobody in the NFL, no quarterback in the NFL that's better than him right now. None of those 32 bleeps are better than me right now. Of course, he was working out. Dave, you're going to look great whenever you're throwing to people wide open in a practice, and it's just you and them you throw into a receiver one-on-one. You're going to look fantastic because you don't have a 275 guy that runs a 4.5 40, right? Barreling down your throat, and you have 2 seconds to throw. So, is Cam Newton just afraid to let go? Does he truly believe that he's got some in the tank? Because last time we saw him, when he played against the Dolphins was the last time we really saw him. He had one of the worst ratings in the history of the NFL for a game. It was one of the worst performances in the history of the NFL.
So there's a couple of things that come to mind when you're asking me that question. First of all, I'm great on the golf range. There's no stress. You're just hitting the ball into the air. Everybody can do that, but when you try to hit the ball into a green, that's 28 feet in diameter, or whatever it is, then you're trying and you're all puckered up. So tossing it to somebody in practice is one thing. Getting back to Cam Newton, I have not ever been a fan. We heard the stories come out of college, and you kind of root from a little bit to figure stuff out. The problem with him was, and I use him as an example in my talk today as well, is that I played with a guy like the name of Steve Largent.
Yep.
So Steve Largent, he caught a football. And you know what he did? He ran to the referee, handed it to the referee, went back to the huddle, and he congratulated his teammates for getting him the ball.
Wow. I didn't know that.
So here's what Cam Newton does when he scores a touchdown. He runs into the end zone, he pushes his teammates away, and he puts his, Superman. Yeah. Look what I did. Yeah. Look at me. Look what I did. He literally, I'd watch it. He pushed his teammates away so they didn't block his view of doing.
Yep.
That's the problem with that young man is he's got an ego. Now, we all think we can continue to do this. I tried out for the LA Kiss when I was 52. We all think we can continue to do this, but for him to state that he's better than the guys, but he wasn't better than the guys when he was in his prime. He had a good season, he was surrounded by a good team, and a great defense, and he was able to do some stuff. So
I mean, could I argue that maybe there's players he's better than? All right, I could try and make the argument, but to say he's better than everybody,
he can have a backup job.
But to say he's better than everybody, the guys that come to mind. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, just three guys really quick off the bat. I go, what are you smoking, my man? Because there's nobody better on the planet. Not even guys that are currently playing are better than them. They are in a class of their own. They're a very special select group. You haven't been on the football field in over a year.
You haven't played.
What makes you think that you're better than them? And Dave, you talk about his ego. I think that's it.
And that's I'll tell you
he truly believes it.
John, that's what keeps him out of a backup position. Is because he's going to be in that locker room telling everybody he should be starting. and he's going to be a cancer on any team. He's not going to be an attribute. He's going to be a cancer on any team, talking about how he should be playing, he should be starting. He's not going to be a contributor. He's going to be a disruptor, and that's why he's not anywhere.
How do veterans like him? And I do want to get back to what we were talking about, but but we have you here, and you know the game better than we could ever think we know it. So how do veterans like that transition from being the guy, the starter, to being in a mentor, a backup role, and
whatever
wanting
it may
to help the team do whatever it is for the team? Like, how do guys do that? I mean, some seem like they can accept it, and some just can't let go. Like,
well, I think it
at least from what you've seen.
Yeah, well, it boils down to character. Like Brunel was in the league. You know, I think he was in the league for 10 years post his really heyday. And no one, I thought he was a coach, but he was actually had pads on. He was in a backup player mentality. Steve Berline, guys. I mean, these guys had like 18-year careers, but like the final 8 weren't even really on the field. They were there in a backup capacity. Mark Sanchez, I think, had was around for about 5 more years because he struggled. That poor guy. That's right. When guys talk about going to the Jets, I'm like, oh my gosh, have you guys been watching? Haven't you watched what happened to that Sanchez was a good quarterback, who's
minus the butt fumble.
I mean, remember John Kitna? John Kitna was a pretty good starter for a while, and then he became a backup in Dallas. Guys like that.
Anyways, it boils down to character. Can your ego handle that role? And are you going to be a benefit? One other is going to come to mind, and he actually then grew the beard.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, he was kind of
a career backup.
Yeah, and then he gets his opportunity, man, and he's just on fire for a season or two.
He's one of the smartest players ever.
I mean, that was fun, and that's fun to watch. Another buddy of mine, Gail Gilbert, that I played with in Seattle. Gail Gilbert was just a backup, a phenomenal athlete, and he just sat behind Kelly. Kelly gets hurt, he steps in and takes him to the playoffs. So, but he was a perennial backup. So boils down
Jeff
to
Hostetler comes to mind. I mean, he was a backup. He brought the Giants. He helped win a Super Bowl. I mean, granted, he didn't win it, but he was there.
Yeah. So it's just no ego, no pride, just being there, being a good teammate, being there in a supportive role, and recognizing your role, and So that's that's.
And it's funny you talk about guys with egos, guys that are transitioning to backups or at least accepting that they're not the starter. And there's one guy I want to give credit before we go back to the Panthers, because there was a comment I wanted to make. I want to give Baker Mayfield credit because when he came into the league, everybody knew he was running his mouth. He's been pretty quiet. He's I'm not saying he's perfect, but it seems like he's maybe accepted that he's not a superstar like he thought he was, and he's got to earn his spot. He did it with the Rams. He didn't run his mouth. He just took his place. Understood. Now he's come to the Bucs, right? We haven't heard him talking about, I'm going to light the league up. He's been very quiet. Again, does it mean he's going to be a backup? I don't think so. There's nobody there. It's just him, unless they really like Kyle Trask. But and we'll see about that. But he's kind of accepted. It seems like he's not what he once was in terms of the hype, and he's understanding. So
he just never was very good.
No, but when he was coming out of college, he wouldn't shut up. Now he's kind of stopped and given himself, some new perspective. So I just wanted to give him a little credit for that. I never thought he would do that.
I didn't know him. Everyone knew of him, but I didn't know him, nor had I ever met him until a recent event here in Orange County, and it was a professional athletes outreach, and it's a Christian-based program nationwide, and Kirk Cousins was there, and Russell Wilson.
Tebow?
Eagles quarterback.
Jalen Hurts?
No.
Donovan McNabb.
Huh? No, they're not that old. In between the two. So, anyways, but we had
Carson Wentz.
Yes, thank you. Anyways, the list was on and on, but Baker was there, and it was very humble. I expected a little bit more like gregarious or something, but he was just there and very pleasant and very personable, and maybe he's kind of found a new path a little bit. That's calming him down. I don't know.
I think
they did a great job here.
Yeah. So anyway, going back to the Panthers just really quickly. The reason I even brought it up in the first place really was, Thielen hasn't been the guy for years. You're right, John. No question.
He will be a nice safety net for the rookie quarterback.
That's exactly what it is. He is a veteran presence. He knows how to lead. He knows what he's doing. He can help a young quarterback. I think that's the best thing that he brings. And I think that's why for the Panthers, this is actually a really smart move. And I really love it. They didn't overpay. They didn't, go crazy with it. They bring him in for a couple of years. And more importantly, like you said, John, I just like that whoever they decide to take, I don't know who they're going to take. I still don't know. Whoever becomes their number one overall is going to have some kind of a safety net that they can go to and trust. I think Miles Sanders is a nice running back. We'll see how they do in Carolina. I don't know. I'm not as confident about that, admittedly.
You got a pretty good offensive line. And like I said, M. Thielen can move.
We'll see. We'll see. Again, but we'll see because that's going to be coaching. I don't know how things are going to shake out with a new, with a new quarterback. We'll see. But again, I love that Thielen move because he is not going to try to be DJ Moore where he's going to get you 1,000 yards and be the superstar. He just needs to come in and help this young guy. And that's what I give the Panthers credit as much as I usually make fun of them because I think they're generally speaking kind of dysfunctional. Actually, they have a lot of issues, but for once I'll give them a little credit. It's like, that was smart. That was good. I don't know who they're going to take. I'm still trying to figure this out.
But they're in a wide open division. So, I mean, it's not like these are terrible moves. I mean, the division's wide open. Got to get some playmakers for.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is I don't think they're winning the division. I think the division's already been sealed by a different offseason move, but we will talk about that momentarily. But before we get to that, we're going to take a pause because we have a guest. It's our usual man, Rafael Esperanza, our boy. How you doing, man?
Pretty good. About yourself?
I am great. How are you? You're all good. Everything's okay in Wrigleyville, we'll call it.
Hey, everything's good
okay for now.
Trump didn't get arrested today, so I
saw your post.
No riots, Rafael.
No, but I had betting prop bets on that, which we actually took a lot of action on it. So
really,
that was always
for the people at home that don't know what you're talking about, that don't follow you for whatever reason. Tell them what this post was because I saw it. I know exactly what you're talking about, of course. But
I put, of course, I had to put Trump arrest prop bets. I put what will happen first during Trump's arrest? Will he be tased or pepper sprayed? That got a lot of primary tie color of when he got arrested. Everyone was pounding blue. Which, if every court case, I actually went back and said that every court case he had was either pink or red.
I would have thought red.
It was never
power. You always have power. You always have power when you go into court.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know why people were betting blue like there was no tomorrow. So that was I like this. Where would Trump be arrested? His personal residence, golf course, or police station? So golf course got a lot of action.
Golf course, I would have bet.
I'm not surprised.
I would say he turned himself in.
Wasn't golf course plus 300 though?
Yeah, golf course was plus 300. So, and then of course, will he have a mega hat on?
I remember it was minus 300 for his home residence, plus 300 for the golf course. And I don't remember what the police station was. I know it was I want to say like plus 500, 600.
Yeah, I think like 550 or something.
Oh, come on. So. I told you, I read this. I saw this on my lunch break and I couldn't stop laughing. I thought it was great.
They used my odds on Fox News today, and I didn't get to see.
Really?
I didn't get to see the segment, but you could tell.
I'll have to find that.
You could tell that they were trying not to laugh when they were reading some of them.
Did they tag you?
They're not allowed to because CNN and CNN, Fox, and MSNBC have never been eye to eye because I could share.
Yeah, but they should give you credit.
I can share emails about all three stations about what I can say, what I can't say, how I'm supposed to lie on the air or say this, say that. So
okay, I got
Jake, you are amongst a lot of important people. Dave, of course, Raphael, of course, me. You're amongst a lot of.
Hold on,
people.
time out.
You need to become important.
Time out. I understand how the two on the bottom are important. And this is not meant to be make fun of you. What is
the name speaks for itself?
Dave played football. Raphael just said he was on the news unintentionally. Also, he's just awesome at everything he does with his odds. What do you have going, John? Please elaborate.
Yeah, he's still beverage down the front of him trying to take a drink. That's what John's talking.
He's shaved. I have to give him that.
He looks younger than I do. Yeah. I mean,
I went from 40 to 22 and overnight.
We gotta get back to Raphael. The reason why, buddy, is that was it last week? I wrote down 2 things: Princeton over Arizona that you predicted.
Yep, you're right.
And you were right. I love that.
And the Aztecs look pretty good.
Yep.
And they're going to the Sweet 16. I'll tell you, they looked a little shaky in that first round because you also said, and this was what scared me because I really didn't follow the bracket. I usually fill one out, have fun with it. Is that you also said you like the 15s this year. And I turn it on. I go, we're matched up against a 15. I go, Raphael better be wrong. But they pushed this. I think we won by 3. I mean, it wasn't a secured win. But then we just trounced to Fordham or somebody. And
but then they dominated their second game. And I tell people, if you're 2 teams that you do not want to play in a tournament right now, is San Diego State and Xavier. Those 2 teams, I think, had dominant weekends. If San Diego State plays like they did in the second game where they scored 80+ and that defense was so stifling, they're going to be a hard. I like them this weekend
against Bama.
Against Bama. Because if they play like they did against the second game.
What's the spread on that?
Is it 6? I think it is. Let me double check to see what I haven't checked if it moved or not. That was doing.
You are so good at what you
7.5.
You're so
7.5 against a good. I don't know, man.
So I'm gonna take. I like the plus points. I think Joe Public, which that's who I call the people who are just betting their mom's money and stuff like that. I think they're gonna push that up until probably 8 because it's a Friday game. So Joe Public is going to look at the USA Today or the ESPN and say, "Ooh, it's a number 1 seed. I'm going to bet a number 1 seed against San Diego. I don't even know what an Aztec is."
Haven't they been watching this tournament? Haven't 2 of the number 1s already fallen?
Yes.
So a lot.
Purdue lost. Yeah.
A lot left. But okay, so now I got to take one away, Raphael. You did say you didn't see any of the number 1s having any problems.
No.
Who'd have thought? Purdue and.
A college team that wasn't even supposed to be there, but the other team couldn't make it. So this team's like, guess we'll fill in the NCAA bracket. Oh, what do you know? We walked into beating number 1 seed Purdue. Second time in the history of the tournament.
I gotta say, hold on. I love it because New Jersey represent, baby. We had a great tournament. I don't care if we win another game out of New Jersey. I'm happy because we beat a number 1 seed and a number 2 seed, and we have a team in the Sweet 16 for the 2nd straight year. This is great.
Did you see a pic of their home court? It looks like a middle school basketball.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
There's these small bleachers,
and they lost their head coach today. So
do you know how small that school is? That school is tiny. I'm telling you. When I saw that they won, I was like, "This is a joke, right?" One of the smallest schools you could think of. It's a school that honestly people in New Jersey forget about a little bit sometimes.
You guys are diehard. You guys are diehard football fans. And I said this today and in one of my interviews, and I said it yesterday, and I got so much crap for it. March Madness is the reason why March Madness is probably one of the best sporting events to watch because of the upsets. The more teams we add in the college football playoff, we're not going to see these dominant Georgias and Bamas winning all the way. Because a quarterback could get hurt in their first game or injuries or a bad day.
Anything can happen.
The more teams we see in college football, you're going to see an 8th seed or 6th seed beat in Alabama or Georgia because of an injury.
Absolutely.
So you football fans, don't be saying, "Oh, this is why I hate college basketball because that number. Oh, we want the blue bloods in the tournament."
As
you know what?
As sports fans, we love chaos.
I will say this. I think the NCAA doesn't like it because their big brands sometimes lose out early, like Purdue losing out early sucks for them, and they complain. But I'll tell you, as a fan, I love it. It's awesome.
Hey,
it's so exciting to watch.
Let's go back a couple of decades, and Gonzaga came out of nowhere and beat somebody in the Cinderella, and they took it. All of a sudden now they're nationally ranked every year.
Yeah, so they're awesome. They're one of the top every year.
And they backed their way into the tournament.
And look at St. Mary's, who's in the same conference as Gonzaga, the WCC. St. Mary's, which they should award the Indiana Hoosiers Hickory jerseys because they had 5 white guys on the court the whole time. They need to have Hickory on their jersey on there for they're going to play in the tournament.
Proving that white men can jump. White men can jump.
That is yes. So, all right. What are your long shots for the week? Is Princeton one of them?
I think that slipper. I think that slipper comes off because I was high on Creighton when the season started.
Yeah,
I was really high.
I'm just being hopeful here. I would love to see. That's all.
I said I like San Diego State. Wait, because I think this number goes. It opened up at 6.5, and everyone jumped on Bama. Now it's 7.5. If you can get 8,
it's going to keep getting better.
If you can get 8, I say wait, take the +8 because their defense can put them hanging around.
At least hanging around, right? At least hanging around.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're going to upset. I'm hoping they do because you know me, I love to see some West Coast love in the Great 8 and the Final 4. But the best game on this weekend, probably the Great 8 Thursday. Gonzaga, UCLA. They've had some epic games in the tournament already. Yeah. I like the Zags plus the 2 points. If UCLA was 100% healthy, then I think they run away with this one. I think Gonzaga keeps this close and would not be shocked if it's another nail biter. I like the Bulldogs to advance.
Let me ask you this, Raphael. When is it going to happen? When does Gonzaga choke? Because every year, my favorite part of the tournament is when everybody's like, Gonzaga is so great. They're going to win the national championship. Why do you not like
them? What's wrong with them?
It's just every year I hear about how they're going to
dominate.
They're going to be the champs. And then they choke it away. It's like when Duke chokes and we all are ready for it. We're all excited for it. It's like opening up a Christmas present. That's the same thing with Gonzaga. I have nothing against them, but every year I look forward to their choke job. It's just one of the things that you look forward to every year. And I'm waiting for that shoe to drop. It's going to happen.
I've been telling people they win it when they're like a 5th seed or 4th, when you don't expect for them to win.
When they're the 1 seed, no bueno.
But I would not be shocked if they win it this year because let's see, if Bama loses this week to San Diego State, then their path is a little bit easier. If Houston, which is a scary team because that's Gasher looks like he's going to probably be 100%. The quicker he goes, he has a nice 5-day rest. His groin should be better each game. Houston's going to be a tough out, but Gonzaga would not shock me if this is the year where they weren't supposed kind of like a rebuild year. They win it all.
People like you giving Gonzaga. Watch.
You know what? Raphael is like a Cowboys fan. This is our year. This is our year. Every year.
My twin brother is a Cowboys fan, not me.
I'm sorry.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm really sorry for you. I am genuinely sorry. But you know what? I'm also happy for you because you know what? You get to make fun of him every year when his team messes up inevitably. And you know what? I gotta be honest. You're a Bears fan, right?
No. I only have one true fan, and that's the Cubs. I don't have a favorite basketball.
Oh, okay. Well,
my job makes
I figured you're all Chicago.
No, my job makes me I can't. Cubs are more mental, more spiritual because I grew up watching them WGN. It's more hearts. But I don't have a favorite pro team in any pro sports. Blackhawks, Bull, and I'm wide open. But I get to make fun of everybody because everyone's going to win a Super Bowl right now. Even though you guys bash Carolina, I think Carolina's had A+ so far. What they've done in the offseason. Detroit Lions. A+.
The Lions.
Goodness gracious.
We're going to talk about the Lions.
I think Carolina can sneak. Maybe they're going to be a sneaking pick, maybe to win a division.
They could anybody can win that division.
Us four can win that division.
Yeah, it's wide open.
It's a perfect transition. But all right, Raphael, do you have any other picks you want to give us before we transition away?
I was hoping to get out of there because I thought Japan was. I thought they were a good play to beat USA right now. They're up 3-1.
We'll see though.
I was hoping Ohtani would start today, but let's face it, Japan's pitching staff was just gonna dominate today. It looks like they're up 3-1 right now, and they saved their bullpen. I thought Japan did brilliantly how they used their bullpen to get in this champion spot, beating Mexico yesterday. I thought USA would have a tough out today, and looks like they're gonna. I mean, I love what the TV ratings have been sky high for WBC, matching toe-to-toe with college basketball over the weekend. Yeah. Mexico, Japan was probably one of the best baseball games I watched yesterday.
That was awesome.
I would say that, but again, San Diego State. That's my big underdog this week, not because Dave is on the show, but West Coast love. I think
you've been pounding that drum for, 2 weeks, 3 weeks now. This is not just a 1 week decision. This is you like San Diego State and you're sticking to it. I respect it.
Because that offense, we don't see offense from Aztecs in basketball.
You don't see
any
offense
sports,
in the
any
NCAA
sports.
tournament.
Easy now, Raphael. Okay, I've given you some leeway now. All right, let's not start stopping.
Come on, you don't bet overs in the San Diego State football games because they pound the rock and their defense is always stifling. They don't give up the long ball, and you don't bet the overs in college basketball. It's a rule for San Diego State.
Not wrong.
Sports.
Yeah, you're not wrong, and it's not fun to watch a whole lot.
No, Raphael.
No.
Tell people where they can find you, my man.
Of the middle pass.
Hey, I didn't know you had their playbook in front of you. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's from back when he was there. It's from back when he was there.
No, you can find me on. When I was there, I never got into a 3-point stance. So that's a little different.
Wow.
I was there with Todd Santis. He had that. My junior year broke the NCAA record for passing in a single season, and so yeah, I didn't even know how to run block when I got to the league.
Well, it's always a pleasure to jump on board. You guys can find me on Twitter at VSI.sports. You can find me on Instagram at Ralph Esparza. You can find all my crazy prop bets on youcanbetthat.com.
All right. Well, Raphael, we always appreciate you coming on.
Take it easy, guys.
You too. All right. So, you guys just continue to help me, and I appreciate it. I wanted to talk about who's going to win that division because I think there was one signing that has made all the difference. That's going to be the reason that the Panthers don't win that division, but somebody else does. It's the New Orleans Saints. Stop. I think I don't want to talk about this for long. There's other stuff I want to talk about, but look. The best quarterback in the division is Derek Carr, and quarterback's arguably the most valuable position. Who's better, John? Tell me who's better than Derek Carr in the division.
I'm not a believer in Derek Carr. I just don't.
Who's better? Please tell me. The Falcons' non-existent quarterback, the Panthers' non-existent quarterback,
I'd rather have
Baker
Marcus
Mayfield
Mariota,
or Kyle Trask.
Not Marcus Mariota. I'd rather have Jameis Winston start for them than him. I'd rather have Jameis Winston.
Why? Give me some numbers to back this up, please.
Okay, Jameis Winston had one good season 8 years ago.
I look at Derek Carr, and he's not a winner. He's never been a winner in the NFL. John, I just don't see it. Everybody else does. If you could fail with Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfrow, if you could fail with that offense.
Hold on. He did not fail. He threw for – did he? Well, do you know what his numbers were last year?
Yeah. He threw
what were his numbers, John?
24 touchdowns, 12 picks, 3,600 yards.
It's about right. I don't see that's failing, considering how much they ran the ball.
How do you have Devontae Adams and your numbers are the worst they've been since your rookie year?
John, you could not be more wrong.
Double-digit
interceptions.
The
worst since his rookie year.
But he didn't even throw 4,000 yards.
John, the worst since his rookie year. What are you talking about? He's thrown above 24 touchdowns once, twice, 3 times.
I had this conversation.
So he had a good season. Hold on, time out. He had a good season last year, and they had a well-balanced offense because Josh Jacobs was absolutely monstrous on the ground, so he didn't throw as much, which is good for him. So I don't see how he failed.
So this was his worst rating since his rookie year.
That's
the most interceptions in his career since last year. These last 2 years are the most picks he's thrown in his career. 14 this year,
but he also threw for plenty of touchdowns.
That's a lot of picks. He had 24.
It was when the picks happened too. It's not every time. We look at the numbers, but we got to look at when those numbers happened. And when you're trying to win a game,
have to break it all down. But if you're throwing the most picks in your career, and with Devontae Adams, that's the first time you didn't throw 4,000 yards since 2017. And you have Devontae?
John,
I just don't understand how your numbers get worse.
I'll tell you. Can you name a running back that he's had that's ran for 1,600 yards? I'll sit here and wait.
Josh Jacobs did this year.
That's my point. Before that, he didn't have a run game like that. So their offense very much changed to, instead of pass all the time, it became a run-first offense, if you watch them.
But how's this
very different?
So then, Jake, where did they lose the games?
I think their defense was horrendous. I think they were absolutely atrocious. And that's one of the biggest knocks I've always had. Eli Manning, I believe, is a Hall of Famer, and this is an argument we've had many a time. But one thing that you cannot argue, no matter what he did, his defense was atrocious year in and year out. Yeah. That's a fact. Period. End of story. Minus like 2 seasons, it was awful. And so you can sit here and say, "Oh, well, he didn't win as many games." His defense was terrible. That defense was awful. And so that's why I sit here and go, "Oh, the offense was humming. The offense was."
And he made a lot of bad decisions in important spots that cost him games.
That's the first logical argument you've made, John, though, because you try to give me his numbers. His numbers were good.
I mean, obviously, we all watch football, and I've seen him make this year throw after throw that cost him games, or miss throws, if you would. That cost him games. He's just when you need him most, he's just not he's not a guy you can count on when you need him.
I don't know that I agree with that.
I don't.
Well, so
he's not a winner.
Hey, but guys, so just envision watching a Raiders game, and envision the game scenario, and look at his demeanor in the huddle, and look at his demeanor like when he throws it or when something's happening. It's just not the same as watching Aaron Rodgers in the huddle, and the way that he's commanding the offense, even just the smirk, smile, the confidence, and all those things. Yeah. To me, he always looks like lost, like he's just there. And so I think to John's point a little bit is that the quarterback, and actually I think Jake, you actually said it, was that the quarterback's a very valuable position, but it's because it's more than just making completions. It's the leader in the huddle that as an offensive lineman, man, you give this cat time, something good's going to happen. Yeah. But when you're looking in the huddle and he's just kind of there and almost like going through the motions, you just don't get excited about playing for a guy like that. And Baker Mayfield, for all whatever his miscues are, that guy, man, got you jacked. I mean, he's headbutting people and getting people jacked up to play for him. So
that I can't argue with. That's fair. But what I will say is he's still the best quarterback in that division right now.
He's talented. He's a talented quarterback. But is he a leader? Is he someone that can lead a team and rally guys? I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I don't know. And we'll find out. But that's my point. I'm not saying he's great, John. I'm not going to sit here and argue he's the best quarterback in the league. But I do think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC by default because the NFC's quarterbacks are really disappointing.
That's such a bad NFC of quarterbacks.
Well, it is, but that's what happens when you have a terrible. He goes from one of the the lower tier quarterbacks, if you will, in the AFC to one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC because there's nobody.
He's not getting paid like
one-sided.
He's not getting paid like it.
Yeah, and so that's why I say that,
quarterback. Yeah,
like John, I think he's going to win. To your argument, I think he's going to win the division, or he's going to have a chance. Not because he's this superstar quarterback. He's got a talented roster around him, and more importantly, who's going to beat him right now, as it stands? Now that may change when the draft comes around.
I can't right argue. Now, I can't say that guaranteed because.
But who's going to beat him? Tell me. That's
even though Tom Brady left, I still think the Bucs have a pretty good defense. They still have Mike Evans. They still have Chris Godwin, and so I think they can.
Who's going to
try
throw
and
them
make
the football though? Baker
Mayfield. We don't know what Kyle Trask is yet. We haven't seen him yet. We don't know what he is. He was the 2nd-round pick for a reason. He could be good. We don't know yet.
I don't know about that.
I mean, you got to wait and see. Baker could fit into that offense.
I can't argue with that. But
Chris Godwin,
because he's unknown, but I think that it's based on what we know, it's very safe to say Derek Carr is the best quarterback in that division. What we know, not what we don't know, what we do know, and Derek Carr is definitively the best. That's why I say that. I'm not saying he's a superstar.
Congratulations on a crap sandwich.
Hey, somebody's got to win the division,
like
John.
The top piece of bread. You're sitting on top of congratulations. Look,
Hey, but he's winning the discussion by default because there is nobody else.
That's the problem. There's no track record. I'm not going to sit here and argue.
Derek Carr's actually played some games. He wins.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Who's played games in the NFL? And I know what he can do in the NFL.
Yeah,
Derek Carr. Therefore, he wins the division. It doesn't mean he's great. It's just
he's the best of the worst.
And that's one of those things. It's just like this always goes back to the conversation we've had, John and Dave. I'm curious to get your insight. I hate, and John knows this, and he agrees. I hate the fact that division winners automatically make the playoffs. I don't think that's.
I don't mind it.
I know.
Wait. So what's the alternative, Jay? Oh, you mean by record, overall record?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because you have teams that have losing records make the playoffs because they won the division by default. They don't deserve it. I think, there are times where I look at the AFC, right?
Well,
let's say the whole AFC West has winning records. They're great. And let's just pick on the AFC South. Let's just say nobody plays well. They all stink. They're under 500. Should one of them really make it over, the entire AFC West? Let's just say if they all are, good teams, they have good records, whatever. I don't think so. I think I would rather see good teams than watching one team barely make the playoffs and just get beat up on in the first round. And that's what their prize. It's congratulations. You get beat up in the first round and you leave and that's it. I've never liked that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a valid point. I don't know the solution to it though, but, because sometimes, there used to be a point where, in the division, the reason why there was, kind of level records was because they were all really good, beating up on each other twice a year. So there's parity in the division, but when you say the South, there's they're just getting beat by everybody.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, the Jags are going to likely be the default team to win now because of the team that they've set up.
The Jags are going to be really good this year.
And I know, but John, they could win 7 or 8 games, and by default they win because
they won 9 this past season, and then they're.
I know that, but I'm making the argument that they could be underperforming and still win the division because the rest of the teams in the division have no sense of direction.
The Bucs went 8-9 and won their division.
Exactly my point.
Yeah,
but when you look at that, I go, there's other teams I would have rather seen. Honestly.
But hold on. We're sitting with the former Seattle Seahawk, Jake, and you're going to disrespect his Seattle Seahawks and not bring up one of the greatest moments we've ever seen in the Beastquake? Might I remind you?
Hold on.
That Seattle Seahawks team was 7-9 against the Saints, who just won the Super Bowl. And the Saints were going to the Seahawks.
That doesn't.
And what did Marshawn Lynch do? The Beastquake, one of the greatest moments in playoff
John,
history.
that's great.
And
you hold on. You can argue that all you want. They shouldn't have made the playoffs. I'm sorry.
It's one of the greatest moments we've ever seen.
Sure, it would suck that we lose that play, but they didn't earn the right. They weren't a good team. It's just a fact. They weren't.
And then they went and beat a former Super Bowl champion. They just won the Super Bowl and they went and beat them the very next season.
Have you ever heard of a Super Bowl hangover? It's a thing.
Oh boy, yeah. So you're giving an excuse for his valid point.
Yeah.
No.
I will tell you the year that we made it to the playoffs, we were 9-7,
and that's fine. Winning record, I can live with that.
It wasn't pretty. I'm thinking, really, we went to the wild card against the Raiders, and I remember it was the greatest thing because for me as a rookie, if we win, I get $10,000, which doesn't sound like a lot of money, but in 1988 to a guy that doesn't make a whole lot of money, it was a lot. And Schrader had 4 shots from their own 45, right, with 48 seconds, man, and he every single one of those balls made it to the end zone. And thank goodness he didn't have a receiver that could catch a cold. They were bouncing off their heads or whatever happened. But every one of those things, man, had a chance to nix my 10 grand. But we weren't overall a solidly great team, but we did have a good enough record to get to the wild card.
I can live with 9-7.
Yeah,
that's okay. Still, it's when it's the 7-9s, 8-8s that make the playoffs that I go, yeah, but I don't believe they earned it. They just if they have a winning record, I can live with it, even if they weren't the best. But it's when those teams that are 7-9.
Then how do you? So then it would be just the same thing. How do you?
No, I'm just making the point for myself that I can live with teams that are just above 500. I still think.
What I'm saying is, what happens when if you're going down that pecking order and you've got 4 teams that are 10-7 or whatever it is. And then I think division winners they haven't played each other. I
think division winner then can take a precedent. But I think it should start by your overall record because that is an indication of how good you were that season. Winning a division is not always. Sometimes, like we said, win by default.
That's a very valid point. It's a valid point. I'm asking, well, okay, so what's the alternative?
So I say the tiebreaker can be something like division winners. That I could live with. Or maybe we want to do, the overall points for or points against. Maybe want to do an average of those.
Well, they typically do head-to-head, and then they do
but Dave's example was they didn't play head-to-head. So.
Right, then it goes by conference record, and then it goes by division record.
Right, but I'm proposing a new system. That's my point. So that's why I'm saying division winner still has some value. It's just a matter of it shouldn't be the end-all be-all. It should not be the very first thing that decides, do you make the playoffs? That's my ultimate.
Then get rid of the division.
That makes sense. It makes sense.
And get rid of the divisions. If you're going to do that, then you got to get rid of the divisions.
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Best records.
I wouldn't be opposed. John, I'm cool with that.
I'm not. I think the divisions adds rivalries. It adds.
No, you have to have the rivalries. You have to.
Have them anyway.
One of the biggest things, guys, when we left the AFC West. I remember, so you guys give me some kudos for playing, but man, it was decades ago, guys. And we were different colors, different division, different stadium. It's been a minute. I will tell you, when we left that, all the guys that I know and all the fans, we're not going to play the Raiders anymore. I don't know if you guys remember, but the Seahawks Raiders Monday night games were epic. And then the rivalry with Denver. We didn't have much of a rivalry with the Chargers or Kansas. Well, Kansas City was just always a good game because you're going from one of the loudest stadiums to the other loudest stadium. Mm-hmm. But the rivalries of the Raiders and the Broncos and the Seahawks just were part of the history of that team. And then you move them to a different division, and then now we got the Niners going, a bit. But I don't. It's just.
But that's
you got to build. Then you got to build it.
That's switching conferences, though. That's a little different. That's a little different. But he's saying
when you take, if you would take the Ravens out of the division with the Steelers and just place them anywhere else, it's like, well, now you got to create
not what we're saying.
Brand new rivalries.
But John, the idea is different. It's not taking them from the NFC, putting them in the AFC, or vice versa.
No, but just taking them.
You got to keep them. You got to keep them because I think John's right. Because as soon as you said Ravens, I'm thinking Steelers, Bengals, all those cats. When they,
you know what? To your argument,
when those games show up on Sunday, I'm watching them.
To your argument, the NBA has two conferences: East, West. Plenty of rivalries still going on there.
There's a lot of divisions. There's 3 divisions in each conference.
But when you break it down, they only care about East versus West. That's all they care about. The
NBA is a different game than the NFL.
You're missing the point. Hold on. You're missing what I'm saying. It's East versus West. There's 2 conferences. That's what they care about at the end of the day.
Well, it's AFC versus NFC.
Right. And that's my point. But there's plenty of rivalries still in the East or the West, respectively. And so that's my point. So you don't need the divisions to have rivalries still. It's not.
I think you do.
But then who does a team play twice a year? Or do you just not play a team twice a year? Everyone's just a rotation throughout the whole.
And that second time you play them, that matters because because they served you in their stadium or they served you in your stadium, and you're like, guess what? Next time we see Seattle, we're gonna go to Seattle. And we're gonna get them because they took us in our stadium.
That matters.
I'm
not saying that has to change.
Jake, in your scenario, then that doesn't happen for 3 years. No. So
once
every single year we know. We've got these guys, and last year they put it to us both games.
Yep.
And I tell you, that's a whole nother level of rivalry.
Don't disagree.
When you got drummed 2 different times from the same team, they're on the calendar, and especially depending on how it's stated and how the result is of it. And I love the divisions, but I like your point though, Jake. Doesn't mean you automatically get in.
And I'm okay with keeping the divisions. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, no matter what.
Well, since we're fixing this, we got to have the whole.
That's fine. No, I totally agree. But I'm saying at the end of the day, no matter what, division winners should not.
Since we're fixing this, you might as well put the Cowboys in a division that actually, like the South, put them there. Put them in the South, right? They don't belong in the East. That doesn't make any sense. Why are the Cowboys in the East?
I don't know how they came up with that. Does anybody know how that happened?
No, not a clue. You know what, John, I got one. Why are the Dolphins in the AFC East?
They're
just because you're on the East Coast.
On the East Coast.
Yeah,
if that's what you.
But you could put them in the South.
That's what I'm saying. I could totally see. Let's put them in the South because there's a southern state.
Texans,
you know what I mean? That's what I'm just saying.
How are the Texans, who are in the same state as the Cowboys, they're in the South, but the Cowboys are in the East, but they're in the same state?
Well, and Kansas City's in the West, right? Kansas City's in the West, and some of this doesn't make any sense.
Stupid.
All right. We figured that out. Good.
Well, I'm glad we hashed that
great conversation.
No, look, I think the big takeaway that we can, at least Dave and I will agree on, is division winners should not be the end all be all. Yeah. John, I know you're not a fan of that, but and to your rivalry point, and then we'll wrap up.
That chaos that we love so much.
I'm cool with keeping divisions. Just don't let the winners be the end all be all. That's really the crux of this argument.
Could you? I mean, to your point, Jake, this year, if you would have took out the Bucks and you would have put the Lions in their place, imagine the chaos that Lions team would have caused.
So much better.
They would have
so much better.
They would have taken out one of those top teams like the Niners or something like that, and they would have ruined the NFC playoffs and changed everything.
We got to wrap up. We got about 30 seconds. But, John, I just want to say thank you for proving my point exactly. That's exactly what I was getting at. Dave, tell the people where they can find you.
Hey, I'm just Dave. That's right, man. Dave DeRocher. Dave DeRocher everywhere. That's what I am. And people somehow seem to find me. So we just keep doing good stuff. Check us out. So the golf tournament's over. We're on to the next one. I don't know what that is yet, but we may be doing one in Colorado at the Air Force Academy. So that's being kicked around. We'll see what happens.
All right, John.
If you ever come out to PA,
John, where can they find you?
BlueHawks13 on Twitter, and JB_ the program on Twitter for JB Ellis.
JB Ellis _ the program. Come on.
JB Ellis. Oops, I messed it up. Oops.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Jake_Malik, and all the stuff you see scrolling across the bottom of the screen is where Sideline Sports is. On that note, everybody have a good one. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.